I'm going to be making an implant crown on this temporary abutment. So the first thing we need to do, we need to have a few things. Now I see this is an open mesh abutment, so we need to close this mesh. It's very important to close it. In the wax up module, make sure your modules are up to date. We have the Pontic menu over here. So I'll just look at it from the top and close this tooth mesh, which then looks like that. And because this abutment is so high up there, we could probably change that to a different mesh, which is the Ridge Lab. Try that one, and it's a bit more shallower. So this is okay. This is probably a bit better. Then, because the mesh structure looks like that, we're going to put this also into the crown module. But before I do that, I want to just do some object management. So this one becomes the antagonist in the crown module, and I'm going to hide it away. This one here is a segmentation model, probably due to making an implant guide. Hide that away. This one is our working model. And then what we're going to do is this one here, we want to cut it because the way it's cut. But notice this mesh structure. I want to change this mesh structure a little bit before I cut it. Now I can do that by putting it to this tooth collection. It's going to hide it, but the mesh structure has been changed a little bit. Now let us cut this tooth because this has been socketed nicely, and we want to sort of mimic that as well. So before I do that, I'll just quickly go to the model designer and I'll just sculpt this down a little bit to go with the rest of the tooth shape. So something like that. Now I'm going to use Blender Boolean. I'm not going to use the modules because I just want to do a straight Boolean cut. So to do that, spanner, go to Boolean, click on fast, use this one and drop it there, which has then cut it off perfectly, and apply that. That's really good. And I've done that so that it has no different vertex groups, and it sort of remains unaffected by using the modules. Sometimes the modules create groups and so on and so forth, but this of course has to still come down. So we can deal with that in a minute, but for now I'm going to make sure it is in the restoration collection, which it is. So I'm going to hide that as well, and then we're going to go all the way down to the lower menu. Then we're going to go all the way down to the crown module where it says implant closures. This one we're going to put into a different collection. This is the original. We're going to be working on this this colored one, and this is not too difficult. Shift right click to place a cursor, click draw around the hole, and then extrude around this hole. Notice that it behaves a bit weird, and that's because it's looking for a vertex, the closest vertex. We've done that so that if you wanted to, you can actually position it nicely along there, but it takes a bit of time. It's probably faster doing it like that. Accept this line and then close the hole. Excellent. Now we are ready to make a coping, or not a coping, but a surface over the top. Put this into the working model collection. So now we should have the model, which we need to put into the working collection as well. And we're going to start drawing a few surfaces. Let us hide this one, H to hide, and we'll start with this one. Shift right click to place the cursor and start drawing a line. Now because this is such a low resolution mesh structure, what I'll do is I'm going to change this. Now we don't show this in our modules, but if we click on vertex, it will actually look for a vertex, the closest vertex to attach to. So this makes it probably easier to attach this drawing tool. Note we've got a little bit of a shortfall, but we can make up with the supportive margin. Okay, and then cut the upper surface. Great. Place your cursor and let's draw the contact. Note I'm going at an angle. Up top here I'm placing more vertices over the highest contour of the contact. Tab to get out of it, shift right click to place my cursor, click on drawing. Now before we couldn't do this, please update your module so that you can then make more than one line at a time. Before we needed to do them all separately. So click on create upper surface. Then select 1, 2, and 3. We don't have to duplicate this because this is like a surface. If it's an implant abutment, we duplicate that one now, but we don't have to do that. So go to survey these, get yourself a good top bird's eye view of it and block it out. Select this one, shift left click, select that one and make these pink contacts. Select this one, create a 0.2 millimeter margin. Select this one again, spacer, make a die spacer. We're going to make this a bit thicker. Says 0.2, that's 100 microns, accept that. Make a safety zone and accept that. We don't have to do the occlusal adjustments because it's out of occlusion. Go here, generating crowns, view your teeth, which is over here, and now we want to generate the crown. Now note, I've said that before, is that we have a shortfall on the inside of it. So let us address this shortfall. We want to pull this mesh structure down a little bit. So here you can actually see where the safety zone is, and that's probably where we want this to go. So Alt A, I'm going to select somewhere over here, left click, proportional editing on, magnet tool is off, use the G key and pull it downwards, something like that. You can take the magnet tool and use a G key to stick it on there. Now we've gone into edit mode. We can, if we use this edit mode key, it looks a little bit different and it's probably more user friendly to use. And here we're just sticking it on like that. So this is looking good. And over here we can see that it is quite far. The jump, we could probably pull that down a little bit as well. to make sure it's not as concave, but we can sculpt that as well. Go object mode, go smooth that down a little bit like that. Okay, let us generate this crown. Excellent. If I hide the upper segment, we can see how nicely it's adapted to that. Smooth with protection. And smooth it down a little bit. Select your contacts. Go to Contact Generation, make Auto Contacts. Select your crown, go to Shape Contacts. Hide your upper segment, look at your contact, this one's fine. This one we can bulge out a little bit more. And then cut the contact and smooth it down a little bit. And that sort of completes it. I still want to smooth it a little bit. Now notice that this smoothing tool uses this one over here, smooth. This one over there uses this one over here, which is a simplification of the mesh, which I actually prefer using. They each have a place. So you may wonder why this is rippled, and that's because the die space has adapted to those ripples, but it has been blocked out. And if you want to see your original part, it is over here, and we've got a beautiful adaptation, and we've got a nice looking crown. Okay, I'll send you the file, and I hope this helped. Last thing before I forget, if you wanted to make a hole going through there, select your part. So, and then we're going to select original abutment. So expose your original abutment, take it, and make a cylinder going through it. We can see this cylinder is over here. We can shift this one up a little bit like that, and then you can take this one and create a hole. So this just makes just a normal hole going through it. So that's if you wanted to put a hole there.